Mitch Miller, uh, November 15th, 2016. Um, I just wanted to do one more of these. I really don't want to keep doing these unless I can go somewhere else and do them. I'm going to try compiling some of them and making them into short videos to show at a venue. Hopefully, I'll get accepted into that situation and volunteer my time for question and answer sessions for anybody in Alberg. But at Tusenfru. But what I want to talk about, a few things, because I tried to subtly say some things about children and the internet, and then I blatantly said it again like an American. So I just want to give an example of, because I did come here to help children, and so I want to start by talking about, I did, when I first graduated from college in 2006, I interviewed for a job for Johnson & Johnson. So they got my transcripts, my college transcripts. And in my transcripts you can see that I failed business statistics, and I tried to take it a second time and I dropped it. I took this course in case I wanted to pursue business, which I did end up doing and was pretty successful at business. But I sabotaged myself in taking it because I didn't like the math. It wasn't real math to me. It was plotting statistics into a graphing calculator and then seeing the skew of the dots and trying to put that together. I like real math, like geometry and things with measurements and measuring actual objects in our reality. So to me, it didn't really apply. I thought that I could probably learn business on the job, which I did. So that kind of sealed the deal for me on that. But for Johnson & Johnson to look at potential job applicant, or say my father-in-law had access to that, I'm sure for, I've heard him mention something about 7 years, so, I'm sure for 7 years he must have thought I was a moron because I couldn't even finish business statistics. I mean, if he had access to that type of thing, which I don't know. But that brings me around to my next point, and it's about children, because American corporations are about having the best. We're the best. We're always the best. We need the best. We have to recruit the best. So I just want to be clear that all of my criticisms are geared at the United States, even though I have vented frustration with a hypothetical community in Europe. That's simply because it seems as though that community should be around to provide people like me with money if the government does not want to acknowledge them, so that they can continue to move. And for example, I want to do a commentary on the banking industry here, or a cautionary tale of the banking industry. Anyway, they're directed at the United States, so you have corporations that want the best. Well, they got to have the best. When I was young, when I was in first grade, there's a program in the public school system called the Gifted Program, and children at a very early age can test out and test higher than their classmates and are able to take an accelerated course. They leave for an hour or two a day and work with higher learning, more intensive learning practices to gear them towards a college route very early on. I did qualify for this program when I was young, and my mother explained to me that I would not be with the rest of my class, so I decided against entering into this program, and that was in the 90s. So I guess where I'm going with this is America's corporations want the best. They have to have the best. They have to recruit the best. They also have built huge computer systems and supercomputers that are hidden in their corporate headquarters and places like that. And as far as government inspection into those, I have no idea if that even exists, but it should be publicized, I think. So then you have this interconnected internet, you have this interconnected Wi-Fi, this mobile network that spans the whole country of the United States. And what do parents typically do? At a very early age now, it's standard procedure to keep your child occupied by letting them play on your mobile device with little trivia games and all kinds of little learny things. Is that a good way to teach your children? I don't see that it's a horrible way if they're not like connected to the internet, if they're separate devices. But uh, so I'll give you an example from my past few years with my spouse. Several times she has tried to get me to take online. There's some type of test that tells what type of personality you have, as well as she's tried to get me to do online IQ tests, which I did not want to do for this very reason. So my point is, at what point do these corporations start identifying child geniuses at age 10, 12, 14 without even notifying you, because they want to steer them to be the best? And then at what point can they start manipulating media? If they can isolate me in Alberg, then can they not isolate your house in the suburbs? And it's really intense and scary things, but I want to say it because I said that's one reason I said get your children off of the internet. If you want to see the details of why, another reason I said that, and another reason that why I broke down several times in my home in early December, I would like to write a screenplay, and you can support me just by providing me with the income to write a screenplay that you can then analyze and decide whether, but I think that's the best way to digest it so that you don't panic people. But what I've made is a statement that's very obvious, I'm sure, to many people, that this is a possibility. So as to supporting the lunatic from the United States, or however you want to describe me, because I'm aware that you're special, whatever is advising or analyzing. Do I have a yearly progress report? No. Review through a corporation? No. Do I have any IQ tests? No. I have an ASVAB test that I took in high school for the military. I'll tell you what I scored on that. It was a 93. Other than that, it's almost as though I have avoided registering myself on this digital internet to display any type of intellect whatsoever. I've stayed fiercely independent, and it's always just seemed natural to me, but could it be that I was, just as I'm arguing that children might be diverted onto a course to be working in these corporations, could it be that I, in my fight and struggle to preserve human free will, took the opposite path of basically my father-in-law or anybody similar to that person, purposefully, so that I could make a commentary on it and I wasn't tied to anything. So that's kind of my discourse. What I will say is this: I hope you will support me. I hope you will buy a piece of art from me. I do not think that this digital media will go away. I think it will continue to resurface. So you can ignore my statements, but I did come here to help not racist children live happily, or whatever they want to do, basically, because these children in Denmark and in Europe are going to live with Syrians, and I see Muslims and African Americans and all different types of people in Europe, and I think that's great. And I think that if they live under free will, that they'll naturally be accepting of lots of people. One argument I heard from politicians when I came here in July to seek my form of asylum was, we cannot acknowledge that because the United States, being considered an unsafe nation, would not be good for the current situation, obviously, in which I expressed I understand that you cannot formally acknowledge this because to deter a nation as large as the United States from being able to accept these Syrian refugees would be unadvantageous for any government in Europe, and I understood that. But you now have a president entering office that clearly wants to build a wall between Mexico and is very xenophobic about border crossings. So I guess my question is, are you going to help me now? And that help can be as simple as saying, I'll buy one of your little pieces of art because I think it'll be worth something someday, or at least I'll get my money back. Or because at this point I am trying to get to basically to Africa, I think, and but if you buy that art and you purchase it, and is all you simply have to say is, hey, you should stay here, you should stick around for a while. Um, I'm at your will and your mercy. I mean, so happily, if somebody says that and is willing to also contribute to the idea that I can uh, live here longer or have the money to leave if I chose, but would honor your advice, I'd greatly appreciate it. So, but again, in a area like Europe, these comments are geared towards the United States, the people that want the best all the time, and not necessarily a free market economy where a large part of the population holds socialist values. I don't see that it as an issue there, but I think that may be leading to part of the deadlock as to why I cannot seem to do anything here. So.